Breeze Nation, what is good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again, live from Canton. I am back at the hotel. It is storming cats and dogs out here, so let me know if the internet gets too bad. I am streaming currently off of my hotspot, so we'll see if this is going to end up working out. Chicago Bears get a win after they call the game because of the inclement weather. Full disclosure, I got out of there at the end of halftime, basically, because I saw that the weather was coming, and I was like, we're not doing this. I've got a full vlog coming your way. But it was a scrimmage. There was a game that happened today. That's what happened today. There was a game that was played, and it was football, and it was fun to talk about, and I'm glad that football is back. But let's not sit here and blow things out of proportion. But the one thing that I will say is that we got to see Brett Rypien get to go out there and absolutely rip it. That was actually fun to see. Is Colin Johnson a little bit of a sleeper player? We'll talk about that as well. Khalil Herbert getting the backup run. I told y'all this could be interesting, man. All that more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Baki said Pat was like, rain. No, bro, I'm telling you, when you saw what was coming on the radar, there was no reason for people to still be sitting in the stands. It was literally like just a wall of rain that was coming our way. It's a reason they called the game. As I was walking back, you could literally see the lightning just like striking off in the distance. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it to the car in time. I had parked like, I don't know, probably a mile away, but it I guess, right, because they canceled it, the Bears end up getting the win here, 21-17. Let me know you guys' thoughts on what you saw in the game that you liked or disliked. I'm going to let you guys know what I saw in the game that I liked and disliked. Hit that like button, like I said, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. If you're on the YouTube side, hit the like button, hit that bell so you get notified every time we go live. If you're on the Twitter side, hit the retweet button, and I think you can do notifications as well so you get notified every time we go live. All right, let's jump into it. Because today you honestly can't take really anything from what we saw today, because it wasn't just the backups out there. I mean, not only did you not play your backup offensive line, but you play like the backup to the back offensive line. I mean, like there were names out there that you were literally just like, you know that they're not going to make this team. But the one thing that I will say, and I don't know if I'm fully to the point where I'm like, you know what, this wasn't worth playing your starters in this game at all. I don't know if I'm there. But the one thing that really stood out to me, and one of the guys that was sitting next to me said he had been out on the field, and so he kind of could tell this as well. The turf was terrible. I mean, it was horrible conditions. You saw Tyler Scott, who was trying to return kicks. You saw a couple of the guys from the Texans who were trying to return kicks and absolutely just slipping and falling on their heads. Like it was not worth it to risk the injury of players, but I mean, you still kind of risk some of the guys because you put quarterbacks out there behind the third and fourth string offensive lineman. By the way, and my stuff's a little bit spaced out, so if you see me lean to do stuff, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but over 100 in the chat. But no, the turf was terrible. It was a horrible field condition. And even more reason to not go back out there after the rain had came in. I mean, you saw a couple of guys take some spills trying to cut, and it just was not worth it. I thought it was very interesting to not see Torrey Taylor or Velus Jones out there, but I guess, right, I kind of can give you a little bit more leeway in this game, even though I did want to see the starters in this game, but I can kind of understand it. Maybe Flus kind of was getting a heads up on how the Hall of Fame field conditions normally are, and you don't want to see guys out there. It was a horrible field to play on out there. It absolutely was. It was terrible conditions, and I'm almost glad that Flus did make the decision not to play guys. I know that those are valuable snaps that I would have loved to see. And to me, the Caleb Williams situation is different, but you didn't play any of your starting offensive line, which is probably for the best with those conditions. I mean, like if you're with the concerns that we already have, at the offensive line spot, I'm I'm good with basically not seeing that out there. Now, as far as the competition itself goes, as far as some of the things that I did want to see, I did want to see Tory Taylor get out there and try and punt. We got to see Corliss out there, Corliss Waitman, who absolutely boots the ball as well. I think that you guys, I've been talking about him a couple of times in camp. He's somebody who just absolutely, every time Tory kicks one, Corliss kicks one right behind him. I mean, absolutely boots the ball in camp. And then the other thing that I thought was interesting was, I guess there's not really a competition for this kick return. Remember, we had heard that there was a competition as far as the kick returner coming in with DeAndre Carter and Velus Jones. Doesn't seem like that's the case at all, because Velus basically didn't play. DeAndre Carter didn't play. So they're just throwing those two back there. Everything else we're seeing at this point is just fodder, camp fodder. And, you know, I don't need to see Tyler Scott back there either. The new kickoff rule. What are your thoughts on the new kickoff rule, Bears fans? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know in the comments below. Because the new kickoff rule to me is very, very interesting. I mean, you didn't get to see the best execution of it today because of the field conditions. I think maybe if guys could cut a little bit more. But I wasn't underwhelmed. I wasn't overwhelmed. I was whelmed. I was whelmed. It was a thing that happened. Yes, guys returned the football. Yes, guys returned kicks. But it was something that happened. I wasn't sitting here losing my mind over the new kickoff rules. I mean, half the people in the stands that were with me, although I don't get this, they were like, I'm just confused on the rule as a whole. Like, what's supposed to happen here? I don't get how you don't understand the rule, because it's very simple. But I do think that it's interesting that with the new kickoff rule, like, maybe it'll be different if you see Velus Jones back there. Maybe it'll be different if you see, DeAndre Carter back there. Some of your main guys who are the go-to guys out there. But I wasn't enamored by it. I was very much just like, this is the thing that's happening right now. Good job. Like, we have this at our disposal if we really want to use this. I wasn't losing my mind one way or the other over the new kickoff rule. I didn't think that it was phenomenal. I didn't think that it was terrible. It was a thing that happened out on the field. Raging said NFL solved VJJ muffing problem for him. He's not going anywhere yet, pretty much, dog. Like, I guess we'll see if that is the case. Like, listen, I hope that he's out there and he's able to be successful. Make Ryan Poles a profit. I just don't know if that's going to be the case that it does happen. Let me see some of the other things that I had on the docket. By the way, 86 in here, only 23 likes on the video, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. I know some of y'all like to just listen and roll through the day, but yeah, man, hit that like button. It does help the channel as well. Here's my big story of preseason. And yes, we will get to Brett Rypien. Yes, we will get to Colin Johnson. We will get to all of those guys in a second. But here's my big story of preseason, and what I think in the first game is kind of what I've been telling you guys all along with this running back position. I know there's some people out there who don't want to believe it. I know that there's some people out there who don't agree with it. I know there's some people out there who want to see it be different. But Khalil Herbert is being put out there as trade bait. Today's game proved it. You started the game off with Tyson Bagent, who's your 2, and Roschon Johnson was the starting back. Now, I fully expected, at least in the first game, I thought that maybe as you go through the weeks, you'll see some different things. But I fully expected, at least in the first game, to see Khalil Herbert as your backup running back. I didn't even expect that Khalil Herbert was going to play today. I thought you were going to get a heavy dose of Roschon Johnson and Demetric Felton. I did not think that he was going to play today at all. And you not only saw Khalil Herbert play, but you saw Khalil Herbert play as one of the backups, going out there with the third string. And now Roschon did end up going back into the game. If you didn't get a chance to see the game, it was kind of a flip-flop. It was Roschon, and then the second time, so it was Roschon with Tyson Bagent and like the third unit. It was a weird unit. And then it was Khalil Herbert out there with Brett Rypien and like the third, fourth unit. And then it was randomly Roschon Johnson again for like the next couple of drives. That is the Bears basically saying, go out there and put some good tape on film, and we're going to send this out to some other teams. I mean, like I was shocked to see it in week 1, but I mean, at this point, if you see that and you don't believe that the Chicago Bears are looking to move on from Tyson or from Khalil Herbert, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what else you're looking at. They literally threw him out there and said, go out there and have a couple of good plays versus the worst people that you can see out there. The worst version of that team, I should say, that you can see out there. Like, and I said this before, you went out and you paid DeAndre Swift $7 million. You went out and you drafted Roschon Johnson with a fourth round pick. Listen, at the end of the day, politics is going to play. That's sports. That's how this game works. At the end of the day, politics is going to be a part of this. And the politics of football say that Khalil Herbert is probably the guy that's going to be the odd man out. Well, why wouldn't they cut Travis Homer? Travis Homer was brought in by Ryan Poles and and already knows how this system works that Shane Waldron is in because he's played in it. I get it, guys. But like, I mean, at the end of the day, this is what more do you need to see from the coaching staff themselves? I didn't think Khalil was going to play because I was like, Khalil Herbert has had a phenomenal training camp. He's balled out at camp. He's absolutely made the decision to move on from him difficult. Why would you put him out there? Put a guy like Demetric Felton out there. That's what you really want to see what he's going to be. The Bears aren't doing that. By the way, just a quick, over 200 in the chat. 200. It's Crimson, you dig. Herbert is a better runner, though. I hear you. I understand what you're saying. I understand it right now. Khalil Herbert is probably the better player. It doesn't matter. When the Bears moved on from Jordan Howard to bring in, was that Monty that was next? I think it was David Montgomery next. Jordan Howard was the better running back and more proven because he had done it at an NFL level. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no way you looked at Khalil Herbert out on this field. And by the way, Roschon Johnson had a nice day as well. We're not going to sit here and act like Roschon just went out there and dogged it. Roschon Johnson had a nice day as well. But we're not going to sit here and pretend like we don't see what's happening here. We're smarter than this as a fan base. We just are. Come on, guys. Greg B. Homer would bring more cap space if cut. Yes, I believe if Travis Homer is cut, he clears $2 million. If Khalil Herbert is cut, he basically, you get his money that is off the books. Like I understand that. I understand that. Who signed Travis Homer? Between Travis Homer and Khalil Herbert, who has been in Shane Waldron's system before? I hear what you guys are saying on that. It doesn't matter. That is the politics of football. And at the end of the day, you're in a good situation to do something like that, right? It's not the end of the world. You've got DeAndre Swift as your one. If Roschon Johnson is your backup, you want to work him in and get him used to stuff. You want to know why? Because by the time DeAndre Swift's contract's up, you want to have a couple of years on Roschon's contract so that he can go out there and then you can get to the end of Roschon's contract and say, I got $5 million for you, which is too much in my book. And if Roschon says no, you say, all right, bet, we're going to go draft your replacement as well. That's how the running back position is going to work. It's how the NFL has the running back position working currently. And there's nothing different about that. So I'm not surprised by what we saw. I don't think that it is I shouldn't say that. I'm surprised by what we saw today. I'm not surprised to see the Bears going this direction. I am surprised that we saw it today. I literally was like, Khalil Herbert's in the game? What's happening right now? Raging said, issue with Herbert is that he loves to run to the outside, and he does that like 90% of the time. Defenses know what Khalil wants to run to the edges. It's a tell. Yeah, I mean, but I don't think that that's the end of the world, though, right? Because Khalil Herbert is still a very efficient running back, even when people know. Some people are like that. You know what I mean? Like, if I know you're going to go somewhere, I still got to stop you from doing what you're good at. You know what I mean? How many players do we know? Hey, we knew Drew Brees was going to be the check down king every single week. You still couldn't just stop Drew Brees. You know what I mean? So there's sometimes where but if somebody's good at it, if that's their thing, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But that was my big takeaway from the day, the fact that you basically saw a camp body thrown out there, and that camp body was Khalil Herbert. I was very surprised to see that. Let me know your thoughts on Khalil Herbert basically getting those backup numbers in the Bears, in my opinion, saying, hey, listen, go out there and put something good on tape so we can move you. You know what I mean, here's my thing. On top of it, they put him out there versus the 3s and the 4s, so basically he's going to kill him because he is a starting caliber running back. Make no mistake about it. I'm not sitting here telling you that Khalil Herbert is bad. I'm just telling you that the politics of this game probably dictate who's going to be on the field and who's not. If you haven't done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. Leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Over 100 people in the chat on the YouTube side. Let's see if we can get over 100 likes on this mug as well. Now let's talk about the players at hand. Austin Booker. I'm sorry, not Austin Booker as well. But Brett Rypien was ripping it out here. And when I tell you, just a solid QB versus, second and third stringers. He went out there. He did his job. He was competent. I thought he put some really good tape on film. 11 for 15, 168 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have 1 rush for 9 yards as well, a 148 quarterback ranking. He has tied now for a Chicago Bears record most passing touchdowns in a Bears preseason game since 2022, and that's 3 touchdowns. Brett Rypien balled out today. Yeah, I mean, he just did. He balled out today. It was good to see. I thought that him and Colin Johnson had a really good rapport. I loved how Colin Johnson bounced back. And here's the thing about Colin Johnson and the connection he had with Rypien that I thought was very good was you saw the first pass. The first pass ended up going awry. It ended up getting it hit him in the hands. He basically just dropped it, and it would have extended a drive. And then you see him get himself back involved for a couple of chunk plays. This guy is 6'6", 220 pounds. He's fast. He's got the size. The question on him has always been, do you have the hands to play in this league? You're not going to get a million opportunities. If he makes this team, he's not getting a million opportunities to go out there and prove that he is a elite wide receiver. You want to know why? Because we got guys on this team that actually have already proven that. So what can you show with the time that you have that maybe gets you a spot on this team? He showed it. I thought he did some really good things to the point where, not to say that, because I saw some people were like, I'd take him over Velus Jones. Let's cut this guy. Let's get him out of here. Blah, blah, blah. Relax. But I do think that he did enough to earn a spot where you try and put him out there against kind of when it's the 1s and the 2s in that Buffalo game. I would like to see him kind of work his way in and out of there to see if he can do that against the 1s and the 2s, if he can do that against the starters and the backups. Because to me, when you're doing it against the backups and the backups, yeah, it looks good. It looks fun. But clearly you're better than that because we've seen you do that already. What can you do versus the starters? What can you do versus the backups, the guys that are actually going to be on the field on a consistent basis? That's, to me, where I want to see if he can make this team. Because if he can, if you're number 4 wide receiver or you're number 5 wide receiver, because you didn't see a great showing out of Tyler Scott today, but if you're number 4 or 5 wide receiver, somebody who you probably are throwing in there, maybe you move on from DeAndre Carter in that sense, because I don't think you're taking 7 wide receivers into the season. But if he is a guy who basically can go out there and be larger than life, has good speed, has solid footwork, and can actually have hands, like, what are you mad at? You know what I mean? Like, I think that what we saw out of him today was enough to earn him a job versus the 1s and 2s, and just see, okay, can you do it versus them? Can you do it? Now, again, it's still vanilla defenses. It's still right. You're not throwing a ton at him, but it is an elevated level of play, and we'll see if the Bears have that elevated level of play on Saturday, next coming Saturday, or the Saturday after next, I should say, as the Bears take on, I believe that is the Buffalo Bills for that. But no, I thought Colin Johnson balled out today. I thought Brett Rypien did a good job as well. I wonder if he did enough to actually be a backup in this league where the Bears may actually lose him. I do wonder that because I think the thought process of most people is that Caleb, of course, is your starter. Tyson Bagent is your backup. And then Brett Rypien is kind of playing the Nate Peterman role where you're like, we'll cut you and then we'll sign you to the practice squad and we'll put you back on the squad and we'll cut you and then we'll sign you to the practice. Remember us playing that exercise all year? I don't think that Rypien is that level of player. He showed you that at a minimum, he's way better than the third and fourth string defenses that are out there. So I wonder if he's going to be a guy who you can get to your practice squad, or if he ends up moving on from the Chicago Bears, getting a backup role somewhere else, maybe with an opportunity at some point to play this season. I think that'll be very interesting to see around his game because he absolutely showed up and showed out today. A 148 QBR today, or quarterback rating today. Like, those are things that I think when you see games like that, again, very similar as what I said with Colin Johnson. Move that guy over here. See what he can do over here. See what he can do with the ones and twos. I don't think he's a one. I guarantee you that. I've seen this guy in training camp. I've seen him at practices. I don't think he gets the ball out quick enough versus ones for you to go out there and see him do that at that level. But seeing him in the game, I mean, listen, I wasn't mad at what I saw from him. I thought he played excellent. I thought he did some really good things. I thought he read the defense really well. And we'll see. We'll see kind of what ends up happening with him. I don't know if he's a practice squad guy, though. And I think he showed that today. We'll see. There's still a lot of preseason left. Game 4 for him this year is probably going to be massive. I would think your week 2 is going to be, you see Caleb Williams for couple of drives, probably not a full quarter, couple of drives. You're going to see Bagent, and then you probably see Rypien the entire second half. And then I would think game 3 is like a half of Caleb, a quarter of Rypien, or a quarter of Bagent, a quarter of Rypien. So still some opportunity to go out there and show out. But I do wonder, right, like that fourth game is going to be the opportunity where it's like, hey, listen, these are the guys that we think can kind of make the team, but they're the last guys that are going to make this team. So can you go out there and ball out against them? It'll be fun to see all of that. I thought that today's game, again, I don't think that you can take a lot from it. I saw some people sitting there praising this offensive line for how they were pass blocking today. Guys, that the group of linemen out there was like a bunch of dudes that if you see them in a game, we're in trouble. We're in a lot of trouble. If you see any of those guys in the game, we're in a lot of trouble. So I don't want to see any of those names out there. I'm not sitting here hyping up what we saw from the offensive line at all. What I will say is, I guess I'll hype this up a little bit. I thought they created some really good running lanes, and our running backs were able to find those. The one thing that did concern me kind of today was the fact that I get it again, it's the backups. It's the backup to the backups, basically. There was this hodgepodge of guys in there. But again, just pre-snap penalties seems to be a theme for the Chicago Bears. It seems to be something that, like, they just love to find a way to do. And I get it. It's not the guys that are going to consistently be in there. But guess what? I've seen the starters do that. I've seen your backups who have slid over because because of the Nate Davis issues do those same things. I've seen a lot of teams have those same issues, or I've seen a lot of versions of our offensive line, I should say, have those same issues. And that's kind of why I did want to see those guys get out there today. I understand it with the turf and everything, but we've talked about the cadence, how much? Talked about the volume of the cadence, how you're going to attack these guys. How are you going to, right? Are you going to be able to, like, get things right? And, like, we keep seeing pre-snap penalties on both sides. We're supposed to have this attention to detail. That's what Flus always talks about, attention to detail. I don't see it consistently. I don't see it in training camp. I don't see it in practice. I don't see it in OTAs. I don't see it. And this is not just a this year thing. If this was just a this year thing, you could almost deal with it, right? But guess what? There's a problem. Last year, you started off your first game versus the Green Bay Packers where you looked the most unprepared with a false start penalty. That's how you started your season. I am looking for a team, and I understand. I get it, that the backups and all of that, but like, when does the level of discipline come in that this team gets? Because we can't act like we don't see preseason games where the backups and the backups to the backups are in, and they're not sitting there false starting all the time. They're not sitting there missing a snap count. I get it. A lot of new moving pieces, a lot of things happening here. But you got to figure that out at some point, or at least hold somebody accountable for it. And I've continued to question that level of accountability that's supposed to be in the building, because this is a problem that we've been talking about for 3 seasons now. Guess how long Matt Eberflus has been here? At a certain point, you think it fixed itself. At a certain point. Like, take it back to Pee Wee. You false start 10 push-ups. I need them. These are big boys. 10 push-ups is going to do something. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Hit that like button if you haven't done so. Subscribe to the page. Leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Drop your comments in here as well. Let me know your thoughts on what you saw today. Let me know your thoughts on the preseason game that the Bears went out there and were able to play. One of the other things before I do get up out of here, two things on the defensive line that I thought are very, very key things to point out. Number one, Zach Pickens. Where you at, my boy? Zach Pickens got the start in this game. What was that? What was that? That was horrible. Got manhandled his entire time out there. Got absolutely crushed the entire time he was out there. Zach Pickens was supposed to be one of those guys that we talked about competing. There was a point last season where Zach Pickens was ahead of Javon Dexter on the depth chart. Zach Pickens got cooked out there today. I was sitting there watching, and I was just like, yo, did they put in the starting center? We got an all-pro back there? Like, that was horrible. It was glaring, because here's the thing. This is how I watch preseason, right? I watch preseason a little bit different, because we get to see Caleb at practice. We get to see, right, the quarterback, the wide receiver combinations, the footwork, all of those things. You kind of get to see those. And I get it. It's not a real game scenario, but you kind of get to see, okay, this is kind of where this is at. This is how this is setting up right now. What you don't get to see all the time is guys in pads on the offensive line going at it, and on the defensive line. And so I literally was just like focused on the lines to start this game off. I mean, Zach Pickens was, and he was somebody who I rooted for last season. I mean, like, he got destroyed in the middle. Like, I'm excited for what Dexter can be. And I think that he's going to be good. And I think we have good depth there because of that. But I did think Zach Pickens was going to be a part of that. That was nuts to see. And then on the flip side of it, something that I thought was very good on the flip side of it was Austin Booker. I thought he had a phenomenal rip through today to force his way in the backfield. Thought he absolutely forced pressure on the quarterback, made some quick moves, made some good moves to get back there. Like, there was a lot of Austin Booker that I liked today. I understand, again, versus the backups and stuff like that, but like, he talked about the moves, and I think this is what excited me about it. I don't know if y'all saw the press conference with Austin Booker or not. I don't know if they put that on YouTube or not. But Austin Booker talked about, I asked him, one of the questions I asked him at the press conference was, what is the thing that you feel you can do that accentuates how good you can be? And he said, I think I've got a really good long arm. And I think I really have a good rip through where I can go long arm and I can pull a guy out of the position and be able to put him on his butt and get to the quarterback. And you just saw it today. I mean, he came out the gate firing. I was excited by what I saw from Austin Booker. I don't know. I know it's going to be tough for him to find snaps this season, but I even asked him that in his press conference, right? And he was one of those guys who didn't play a ton in college. And I said, is that preparing you for this, where you're probably not going to get 100 snaps this season, right? You're probably talking about getting 5 to 10 snaps a game, unless you absolutely dominate. What can you do with those? And I think that's the thing about Austin Booker that stands out to me. No matter the situation, no matter the time, no matter the position he is put in, he seems to always find a way to be able to go out there and make an impact in his limited snaps. That's a player I want on my team. That's a player that I want on my team. Hey, Austin, every time you get on the field, what do? I find a way in the backfield. Oh, that's nice. You go stand back there. We may not be able to use you a ton this season, but it's coming. Those are the kind of players that I want to see the Bears have. And I'm excited to see that from Austin Booker, that he was able to go out there and ball at that level. I thought he did a phenomenal job today. I think he does need to add some weight. I mean, he's 6'6", 240. For basically, I think that he could be a Chase Young type of player. But if you're going to be Chase Young, you got to add some weight. Chase Young, I believe, came in at 6'6", 260. He's not adding 20 pounds of muscle this year, but you're going to need to see at least a 10-pound bulk up probably going into next season. You get him to 6'6", 250 with the size and the speed that he has, you're going to be dealing with a problem on that edge. And he finds a way, like I said, the long arm, being able to use that to get through, he finds a way to just kind of, it may seem a little bit unorthodox, but I'm going to find my way in this backfield. I'm excited about him. I'm excited about what we saw out of him. The one thing that I did have questions on was that first team defense that got absolutely eviscerated by Davis Mills. What happened to all that depth we've been talking about all this time? What happened to all that depth? Oof. Terrell Smith, not good. Not good today. Linebacking situation, not good today. I mean, it was some ugly snaps out there early on. And they basically just came down like a hot butter through knife 2 times in a row and were able to put it on you. Hey, yo. Let's see what y'all talking about in here, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in, showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. V-Dog said, do you think that we have our 3 technique already? I can see him filling in that opposite edge spot across from Tez. Who you talk about filling in? Talk about Booker? I can see Booker being there. I don't know if he's going to be there this season. I think that you're talking about D-Walk and Jacob Martin being those guys this season. But I do think that Austin Booker can get to that point eventually. I would love for that to happen this season, happen right away. I just don't know if that is going to be the case. But yeah, it was a good day for him out there today as well. I do think, by the way, just to say that, I do think we have our 3 technique in Javon Dexter. You're not going to see that until probably next week. But you got to see it on the real field. But when we saw him in pads, here's my thing, and why I think we have our 3 technique. When he didn't have pads on, he made multiple impact plays. When he did have pads on, he made multiple impact plays. As this thunder is hitting loud right now. Good grief. I don't even know if y'all can hear that. Oh, my PS5 shutting down. Bro, what is happening? And y'all know with the hotel room, y'all saw how the room looked yesterday. With this room that I'm in, bro, I'm in danger. But no, like he made multiple impact plays. I'm talking about Javon Dexter here. When you see a guy consistently, when the situation changes, when you can't tell a lot about his game, always seem to continuously make plays, those are guys that you usually feel like are able to go out there and do it in the real world. So I do think that we have our 3 tech of the future with Javon Dexter out there. What do we got here? Boom. Shout out to 2 times says, do you think Tyler Scott over on the Twitter side, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review, hit the retweet button over on Twitter as well. Do you think Tyler Scott will take the wide receiver 4 spot? I think that it's Tyler Scott's job to lose because I don't think they want to use Velus as a heavy wide receiver. DeAndre Carter is kind of interesting when he's gotten his opportunities out there, but I think that it is Velus's job to lose, and I don't think that he did anything crazy for us to sit here and say that is his job just to have this season by today. So I don't know. I don't expect that answer to be had today, but I do think that it is his job to lose. Raging Oracle says no pads all means nothing, and also you're still talking about our center spot being an unknown at left guard. No, in no pads, I'm not talking about him getting to the quarterback. In no pads, the impact plays that I'm talking about is him being able to put his hands up, knowing when to put his hands up, and being able to bat down the football. The impact plays that I'm talking about is tipping the ball to be able to create turnovers. Those are things that, yeah, like the bull rush and all that stuff, I don't care about that. Pushing the pocket, I don't care about that in no pads. Being able to force turnovers and put your hands in the air and get your hands on the football, those are things that even in no pads, seeing a guy be able to go out there and make a splash play at the one thing you can splash at, those are things that I do give credit on, even when there's no pads on. Rod D. Ayo. What did you think of Shane Waldron? What did you think of what Shane Waldron did today, his play calls and schemes? I don't think that Shane Waldron showed anything. I will say this, and I don't know if he was testing this out. I don't know if he was just trying new stuff, different things like that. That third, and I think Bajent was still in that 3rd and 1, where it was like a quarter. I think what they were trying to do there was a fake quarterback fake that turned into a halfback draw. That was stupid. I want to say that was in like the second quarter. No, that might have been in the first because they were going away from me. So that was in the first. They were going away from me in the first. They were going towards me in the second. So it was in the first quarter. I mean, like, Bajent was like under center. He like faked like he was going to run it, drop back, handed it off to Roschon, who immediately got swallowed up on the it's getting crazy late out here. Immediately got swallowed up by the defense. I don't need to see that anymore. I don't think that you saw anything crazy from Shane Waldron, but I can never see that play again. Like, that would be great if we never saw that again. Overall though, I thought that, listen, I wouldn't even call today a preseason game. I'd call today an exhibition. Today was like, people played. Football was played. People were on the field, and a game was executed. That's kind of, and it didn't even finish, so it kind of wasn't executed. That's kind of what I took away from today's game. But I don't know. Like that. Watching that game, I was like, this is fun. Let me get the heck out of here before this rain gets here. I'm glad I made it. I'm expecting Rome. AJ Myers said, I'm expecting Rome to eat when he's on the field. It looks like jump balls have been practiced. I mean, listen, I'm expecting Rome to do well out there. I'm not expecting him to be bad. I'm expecting him to get a good chunk of the reps in with Caleb. And I've said this. I think that Rome has an opportunity to maybe take this number 2 spot at some point this season if he's able to go out there and build that relationship with Caleb, because I think Caleb knows long-term it's going to be me and Rome. The 3 that it's going to be me, Rome, and DJ. Caleb's going to want to get Rome the football. And he's going to want to get Rome the football a lot. I don't see any reason why they can't start this season. Relentless might get executed and terminated. But hey, man, appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We'll be back live tomorrow, as always. We'll have a Chicago Bears podcast with me and Courtney Cronin tomorrow as well, so stay tuned with that over on ESPN. The one thing that I do think that I appreciate from ESPN about this whole trip is they did not have me do a post-game show, because basically I would have been getting off at 3 a.m. doing the 2-hour after post-game show. So shout out to that. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Chase said, do you think we'll get another pass rusher like Judon? Chase, if you're not done watching content for the night, check out the last video that we posted. We got a couple of videos out already, but last video that we dropped this morning about Matt Judon, talking about should the Bears go out and get him. We also dropped a video yesterday on the podcast talking about should the Bears pay Keenan Allen right now. So tap in with both of those. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. How many days left, Crimson? Well, we got Go Bears FGB. Shout out to that. 38 days left till real Bears